Now at the moment I'm working on a more contemporary style type of stairs where we go away from the standard sort of issue stairs with turned spindles and turned newel posts. So in this case what I've got is a layout like so. It's just a quarter turn with two landings. It has a landing here and it has a landing here as well, and this is actually the first floor. It's quite a high floor-to-floor measurement in 3.1 meters plus. So it requires 17 lifts in total. I've got 10 up to the first landing. I've got another 6 up to the second landing, and then I've got one more that takes me onto the first floor. So the arrangement is as we see here on the board, and the making of it is a little bit different than the standard stair. When I say the making is different, the housings are the same obviously, but the actual detailing is completely different to the standard. So we deviate, it's more designer stairs, so little things change like turned spindles to square posts. It's a contemporary design. It's gone into a modern house which is flooded with light. So it's a feature staircase that goes in. It has elements of colour in it, and it has elements of solid wood, and it has elements of softwood as well. So that's the arrangement that we have. And as we move forward with the stair itself, the little changes that I speak of are like so. The standard issue for a stair would be a nosing like so on the stair, as you see there in the end grain. In our case, we're going to go away from that. We're going to use a solid thread as opposed to a softwood thread. In this case, it's white oak, which is a much more beautiful piece of timber. It's a hardwood, and it will give it an effect that we want to design as feature that we require. So we've got a round over on that there, an ovolo there on the outside of it. So you'll see that it's a square fronted. It's also thicker, which gives when it's polished, you'll see that it'll show its face more than the actual standard nosing that we have here. So there are two of the features. We've already got the housings out like so to accommodate the actual new arrangement here. So instead of the nosing on the front of the string, we have this ovolo shape here on both corners. The actual the spindles are going to be away from the standard issue, which is the turned spindle, which is standard for contemporary stairs, and we're just going to a hand painted finish. So we just got a round over following the same detail that's on the actual thread itself. So we've got all fours which are rounded over like that, and these are going to be hand painted. So these are some of the work done, which means that I'm going to hand paint these. The newel post, because the house is out in the countryside, we took a feature of from outside, which would be staking posts. So the newel itself will have a pointed top on it like so, and the angle there is going to be 30 degrees. And then we've a little detail here just to separate the top of the post from where the handrail will strike it coming forward, where my finger just shows you there. We also have the same detail at the base of the post where the post meets the base. So we'll have two of that shown on the actual newel post. What other features do we have? Again, we go away from standard handrail section, which is that, and we're going for a handrail section which is going to look like a large sliced pan effectively. So we're going from something like that to that, and you'll have to rebate in the bottom of it there, the trench there, to take the spindle slip. So that's the arrangement that we have. This is a solid oak thread in position, and the riser's in position here underneath it, and there's the second thread that you can see in camera. So this is just going to be polished with clear varnish, and then the actual strings themselves are going to be hand painted. So in this case, this particular stair is going to be like a piece of furniture. It's going to be very difficult to paint it after the fact when it's assembled. So what we do in this case is we treat it as a piece of furniture, which a staircase is obviously, and we actually polish it, paint it and finish it before assembly. So that's why we have a dry arrangement here to date. We're just ready to go with the painting at this stage. Now the one thing with red deal in the handrail in this case, by the way, is going to be in solid oak as well, so that's a feature. So when we have the paint supplied and the polishes supplied and the colours, the posts in this case, we're going to have a feature wall behind the stairs which is going to be a darkish green. So we're going to have, the newel post is going to be a pale green, and it's an off-white colour for the string and the risers. We'll have an oak tread which will be polished. So we're going to get a combination of design features, all the little details add up to give us a whole picture when we, as a feature staircase, when you look into the room, and when you walk into the actual hallway, it'll jump out at you. So we've all the design features done at this stage, and we've all the making of the stairs per se done as well. So we're at the polishing stage of this designer staircase. The handrail, as I said, will be in solid oak as well, so you'll see the elements of it. The solid oak is used as a percentage of the overall design. Too much of it would be overkill, and too little wouldn't be enough to highlight the actual oak itself. So for the stair, we'll just have the oak tread and we'll have the oak handrail. That's it. Everything else is hand painted thereafter. So what else can I show you in relation to this? When we come to red deal for the strings, etc., when we go to paint, they have red deal, has knots in it obviously, and knots in red deal or any pine timber will have rosin in the actual contained within it. So it's necessary to use a substrate prior to painting, which is knotting, to seal in the knots, which is a shellac base, which is a polish base. Basically it's a French polish. So it's an oil based sealer, so it'll seal the knots so that they don't bleed through the paint. It's extremely important that when you're doing softwood surfaces that you would actually use knotting or an oil based product that contains shellac to seal the knots to stop it bleeding through, because if it's not done at the very start, the initial stages, well then thereafter when it's completed, if you don't use knotting on it to seal the actual knots in it, then it'll bleed through and you'll have all these blemishes in the painted surface which are a nightmare to get rid of. So it's always best to make sure that you've dealt with the resinous nature of red deal or any pine that is going to bleed rosin from it. So that's just to highlight that point. We're literally ready to go ahead and start polishing. All joints, of course, in this case, we have to be careful that that's the housing that it goes into, that we don't polish the housing part, because we want to be able to glue and wedge that. So it's a case of finishing the whole stair, polishing it out completely, all painting, all varnishing, everything done, rub back the coat, required amount of coats completed on it before we even start to assemble it. So the last thing I'll do with this is like a piece of furniture. We tape the joints, we polish it, we assemble it, and then we fit it. So the landings in this case as well will have a solid oak floorboard to complement the tread and to complement the handrail as well. So there, it's a designer staircase obviously, so we're talking design little details here. So a good design will have an awful lot of, or maybe not an awful lot of, but it'll have certain design details away from the norm, that when you pull all the little details together, attention to detail, that it becomes a whole piece together that looks good and functions perfectly. So it's aesthetically pleasing to look at, and it also fits the room that it's going into, in this case a hall, and that it's a centerpiece feature when you walk into the entrance to welcome people into the house. So that's all I can say for the moment. I'm ready to polish this, so I'll show little details as we go along, and hope you like that little introduction. Okay, over and out for now.